The movie begins in a small town in France. Charles is heading to school with Remy, who, during the trip, mentions that he's saving a lot of money from his new job. But Charles was always a child without emotions, so he showed no reaction to the news. After school, the boy returned home. While doing his homework, he decided to prick his hand with a pin, to train himself to ignore pain. But Yvonne interrupted him and called him for dinner. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Mrs. Margaret welcomed her children, who brought her a special gift for her birthday. When she opened the box, she found Baxter, a white bull terrier dog who had been homeless and rescued from the local animal shelter. Once freed from his leash, the dog ran wildly around the house, knocking over many items, breaking vases and scattering clothes. At the beauty salon, Margaret told the hairdresser about Baxter's behavior, but the man said it was normal and that they would adapt to their new life together over time. On her way home, the woman was with her friend Andrea, who advised her to contact her daughter Florence if she didn't feel safe with the dog, and ask her to return it to the shelter. But Margaret didn't realize that this dog was actually very smart, capable of thinking more than any other animal, and had keen observations of human habits and behaviors. Baxter considers the only happy moment in his day to be when he's let out into the garden, where he experiences freedom and hunts small wild rats. But this joy doesn't last long, as Margaret always forces him to stay indoors. Over time, Margaret and Baxter became friends, and this friendship made the woman abandon the idea of returning the animal. A few days later, while playing cards in a restaurant, Andrea asked about Baxter and noticed that his friend was still hesitant about the dog. He suggested contacting Florence and asking her to take the dog back to the shelter. Margaret refused and told the old man to stop interfering in her life and to leave her dog alone, as he was now her new companion. To avoid upsetting his friend further, Andrea apologized, saying it was all a misunderstanding, but the woman ignored him, got up from the table, and left. Over time, Baxter grew confused about Margaret, as she never did anything fun or gave him any commands. This made him think she was waiting for the right moment to eat him or even get rid of him. While watching the neighborhood from the window, the dog noticed that the neighbors were moving out, and a new couple was moving into their house. Encouraged to get to know them, Baxter continued observing them closely. Meanwhile, Charles returned home one evening. When he noticed his mother hosting another party with her friends, he tried to sneak up to his room unnoticed, but Yvonne caught him and asked him to greet the guests. Afterward, the boy went to his room, where he enjoyed looking at many pictures of battles between soldiers from World War II. At Margaret's house, Baxter continued observing the daily lives of the new couple. When he noticed that his owner would prevent him from sitting by the window, he decided to attack her. The next day, after hearing that her mother had fallen and gotten hurt, Florence went to Margaret's house and applied some bandages to her legs. Afterward, Margaret got up, and during this time, the shelter owner helped her walk around the house. She asked him about Baxter's strange behavior, and he explained that the dog might feel abandoned by his previous owner. The man elaborated that since he was handed over to the elderly woman, Baxter might have interpreted it as betrayal, as if he were worthless to his former owner. At this point, Florence brought some sheets and suggested her mother sleep on the lower floor of the house for a while, as she wouldn't be able to climb the stairs with her injured leg. Thus, Margaret spent a few nights on the sofa bed, while Baxter continued spying on the neighbors. Charles, in his home, watched a documentary about World War II and amused himself by looking at Soviet constructions. He decided to replicate them and printed plans for one of the bunkers built by military leaders. In the morning, Andrea went to the beauty salon and asked about Margaret's whereabouts, but the hairdresser replied that he didn't know, as she had cancelled her appointment 3 weeks ago. Hearing this, the old man became worried and went to Margaret's house. When she sensed Andrea's presence, she decided to avoid him and closed all the windows so he wouldn't notice her. After a few days, Baxter noticed that Margaret was becoming increasingly affected by extreme loneliness. This changed her behavior and made the dog stay closer to his owner. Andrea, realizing that the woman wouldn't welcome him, decided to visit her house again. He broke down the door to enter, causing Baxter to flee the scene quickly. The dog ran toward the neighbor's house. When Amy noticed his presence, she warned her husband, who went to the window to figure out how Baxter had escaped the house. When he did, he was shocked to see Andrea screaming for help, saying that Margaret had fallen down the stairs and gotten hurt. Unfortunately, Margaret had died. At Margaret's funeral, Amy was approached by Florence, who asked her to take care of Baxter, as she didn't like pets at all. This made the dog feel a new sense of happiness, as he could now enjoy the sounds and smells in the garden with his new owners. They treated him like their child. A few days later, Amy threw a surprise birthday party for Jim and performed a crazy dance show with Baxter. After the impressive dance performance, the woman went to her husband and revealed that she was pregnant. This made the man very happy. Meanwhile, Charles continued developing his bunker plans. After gathering all the necessary materials for the structures, he went to the junkyard. The boy quickly began building, digging a large hole to expand his bunker. Over time, Baxter felt he was gradually being forgotten by his owners. The husband was very excited about the baby's arrival, so the dog decided to get closer to Jim and spend more time with him, as he enjoyed working with the soil in the garden. But after the baby was born, Baxter was locked in the garage. This made him very angry because he was abandoned a second time by his owners. One day, Jim freed the animal again and allowed him to meet their new baby. When Baxter saw the child, he was confused because he could never understand the love humans feel toward their children. He kept staring at the weak baby, who had no teeth or hair. Baxter acted with extreme gentleness, so his owner wouldn't keep locking him in the garage. Jim asked the dog to be very kind to his son, so they could all live happily together in their owner's garden. Baxter tried to think of a plan to get rid of the baby, but it was very difficult because Jim was always watching the baby. So Baxter decided to wait until the baby was left alone for a bit and push him into the pool to get rid of him, then pretend to help after it was too late. Meanwhile, Charles went to the old scrapyard and entered his hideout. He found his control panel with its electrical system and confirmed that everything was working well. He went to the observation openings to see everything around him without being noticed. Later, Andrea went to Margaret's grave and placed a bouquet of flowers on her tombstone. At that moment, Margaret's spirit appeared and began speaking to him. She told him that it was now his time to rest, and that they should let the young people lead the world as they wish, so they could handle the tragedies and disappointments to come. When Andrea heard the spirit's words, he accepted his end, rested his head on her shoulder, and passed away at that very moment. When Charles returned home, he met his father, who asked him to quickly choose a gift because his birthday was approaching. The boy, hesitant, went to his room, where he saw many pictures of famous people with their pets, which finally made him realize what he wanted for his birthday. The next day, Baxter's family gathered in the garden again. When Baxter noticed the couple moving away from the garden, the dog quickly went toward the baby to push him into the pool. However, the dog barked too early, warning the couple, which allowed Jim to save his son just in time. This completely ruined Baxter's plan, and of course, the couple became worried about their son. Jim and Amy decided to put out an ad for someone to adopt the dog, which caught Charles's attention. Later, the boy went to the couple's house with Michael. After gathering everything for the dog, they took him home. Within just a few days, Charles and Baxter became close friends, so Charles decided to train him to become stronger and more dangerous. He began training him with fabric dummies and running alongside his new friend in the streets. Baxter felt he had finally found the human he had always dreamed of and was happy with him. During this time, Charles enhanced his dog's skills, which made him confident that Baxter would follow any command he gave. On his school bus trip, Charles continued collecting war photos, but his classmate Eva interrupted him, asking to sit next to him because she liked him. The girl tried to get closer to him, but when she felt he wasn't reciprocating, she left her seat and walked away. When Charles returned to his secret hideout, he noticed a car approaching the scrapyard and decided to go out to see what was happening. As he got closer, the boy discovered that Baxter was under the car, which made the driver very angry. After calming the dog, The frustrated man told Charles not to leave his dog unleashed because it could cause big problems in the future. At that moment, the boy discovered that Eva was in the car. The girl revealed that this was her father, who had come to pick up some things from the scrapyard. When she noticed her father returning, she said she would take her dog for a walk, which would allow her to visit her friend. Later that night, the driver returned home. When he noticed Eva wearing her mother's clothes, he became furious and asked her where she was planning to go while she tried to hide her plans. The girl said she was just going for a walk with her dog, but the angry man didn't believe her and smashed her radio, which made her angry, so she left. The girl went to the scrapyard, and when Charles noticed his friend approaching, he locked Baxter in the hideout to prevent his dog from interrupting the meeting. While they enjoyed the view at the scrapyard, Eva revealed that she planned to run away from the city and live with her mother, who was like her. She had left home because she couldn't bear living with her father, who constantly disrespected her. During their conversation, Baxter started barking non-stop. When Eva asked about the dog's behavior, Charles said he had locked him up to avoid bothering them. However, the girl didn't listen to him and decided to free the dog, who quickly tried to get closer to his new owner. Over time, Baxter felt that Charles was no longer treating him the same way and was trying to regain his owner's favor. However, Charles became very angry when Baxter didn't listen to him and kicked the dog, ordering him to stay away from him. At that moment, a stray dog approached the scrapyard, and Baxter, to defend his territory, went toward it and started a fight. When Charles saw what was happening, he quickly went to separate the animals, but when he saw that his dog was winning, he stepped back and let Baxter continue the fight. He realized just how strong his dog was, and the boy began treating him with more respect because now he could use the dog as a fighting machine. One day, during a school bus trip, Eva went to her friend and revealed that her dog had given birth to puppies from Baxter. However, her father didn't want to take care of so many animals and ordered his daughter to get rid of the puppies herself instead of him doing it. When Charles saw the puppies, he offered to adopt them because he had ideas about what to do with them. The next day, while guarding the area around the hideout, the boy met Remy, who still liked to gather materials to make money. While searching for something to recycle among the scrap, the boy decided to go down into the pit in the area. At that moment, Charles appeared and ordered Baxter to attack his friend, who was removing the basket from the pit. Remy panicked and begged Charles to let him go, but Charles ignored him and ordered his dog to finish Remy. However, Baxter felt his owner misunderstood him because he didn't kill his targets without a valid reason, so he froze in place and let Remy escape. Charles became very angry with the dog for not following his orders. The crazed boy locked the animal in the garage and beat him as punishment. Over time, Charles became more disturbed. After examining the puppies, he decided to get rid of them because he felt they might have made Baxter weak. Left outside the scrapyard without food or water, Baxter became terrified, which reawakened his natural instincts. He started running and sniffing the air. His dogs, who disappeared while he was searching, he managed to smell their scent close to him, and when he found the bodies, he got very angry because he immediately understood that Charles was the one who killed them and threw them in the pit. Charles appears very angry at the dog for not listening to him. The boy decided to attack him and threw many things at him. This made the dog scared, and he tried to escape. The problem was that Baxter got completely trapped amidst the junk in the place, leaving him no choice but to wait until his punishment was over. To finish him off completely, the boy grabbed a large metal barrel and tried to throw it at the dog, but its weight caused him to stumble, slip, and fall in front of the dog. When Baxter felt he could finally get his revenge, he approached the crazy boy. But when he heard the sounds his owner had trained him to respond to, he couldn't disobey in that moment. He sat on the ground and became completely weak. The angry Charles grabbed a metal rod from the junk and struck the dog repeatedly to end his life. A few hours passed until Michael and Yvonne searched for their son amidst the junk. When they found him still hitting Baxter's dead body, the man rushed to the boy, who lied and said the dog was about to kill him, leaving him no choice but to defend himself. Hearing that, Michael said everything would be okay. After they hugged their son, the couple took him home. Over time, Charles felt more drawn to the neighbors, so he decided to plan a major incident to cause a big fire in his house and kill his father and mother.